this is great. So this is working perfectly on so I don't have to, since I created two separate streams by accident at 11:33, I created two by accident. I guess we can just use this third stream for the AFC NFC North talking points. And we'll edit the title and we'll do all that. But I guess what works with the live stream is one of the streams can be a college football stream. The other can be a Hall of Fame stream. And then the third stream would be the NFL stream, you know? I think that can work. And it will be in chunks rather than just all of the content in one podcast. So I think from a marketing standpoint, that'll work.
Streaming when we've had like these streams up.
Yeah, because we've had, this is the third stream we've put on YouTube. The first stream was the Hall of Fame game. Second stream was the college football and some of the Ravens before the stream cut us off. So this would be just an NFL stream. And I think that's more marketable. Like, instead of doing a 6-hour podcast, you have a 30-minute podcast, a 2-hour podcast, and then you have another podcast that's another 2 or 3 hours. But just looking at the Ravens defense, I'm more concerned with the defense than the injuries. Right now, the Ravens have Justin Madubuike, Michael Pierce, and Broderick Washington as their defensive line starters after losing Calais Campbell. Travis Jones is still the backup nose tackle. Brent Urban and Angelo Blackson, I'm not as high on them as depth players on the defensive line. Odafe Owa and Tyus Bowser are the starters. Apparently, Tyus Bowser is still on the NFLI. I think, is that the injured list for NFL? What is NFLI? I think that's I think that means he's injured. No, but this is not updated. I love Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, but the reason I say our list isn't updated is because Rock Ya-Sin got carted off this week. Rock Ya-Sin, the corner for the Ravens, got carted off during practice. They brought out the stretcher and they carted him off during practice. So you brought in Rock Ya-Sin to replace Marcus Peters because you didn't want to pay Marcus Peters. But now you have Arthur Mallett, the Steelers' nickel corner. You have Jalen Armour-Davis and DeMaurian Williams. And right now, Arthur Mallett is outperforming the two corners the Ravens drafted in the 2022 draft. I was not a fan of Jalen Armour-Davis or DeMaurian Williams. And the fact that DeMaurian Williams, a fourth-round corner, beat out Armour-Davis, a third-round corner, pretty much reinforces any concerns I had with the Ravens corners that they drafted in 2022. I do like Arthur Mallett as a nickel corner. It reminds me of when the Bengals stole Mike Hilton away from the Steelers. That worked out fantastically for the Bengals, I believe. So, like, I'm concerned about the Ravens corners. Odafe Owa, I was not a fan of him coming out of Penn State, but he did well as a rookie. He sucked last year. And Bowser, he might be injured. And then the backups are David Ojabo and Tavius Robinson. Tavius Robinson, the Ravens' third-round pick. Tavius Robinson's the Ravens' fourth-round pick out of Ole Miss. He is currently the backup to Tyus Bowser. And if Tyus Bowser can't go week one, Robinson out of Ole Miss, not Ojabo, would get the start. Because Ojabo is listed as the backup to Owa. And frankly, Joey, I think we're in agreement that David Ojabo out of Michigan is probably the best edge rusher of the four the Ravens have. And he's the guy they're utilizing the least of those four. So that's another concern I have with the Ravens. Like, they got rid of Calais Campbell, and while Madubuike, Broderick, and Michael Pierce are decent pieces, neither one of those guys is a star. Neither one of those guys is Calais Campbell. We're in agreement on that. So, but I do think the Ravens have a lot of good linebacker depth. They have Malik. They have Malik, Ohio State, back in a contract year. Malik Harrison, and they have Trenton Simpson as the backup to Roquan, and Malik Harrison's the backup to Queen. So I think the Ravens' linebacker depth inside linebacker depth is the best it's been in years. Remember when the Ravens had Ray Lewis and Peter Boulware and Adalius Thomas on their roster at the same time? that's how deep the Ravens are at inside linebacker this year. So I think the Ravens are really deep at inside linebacker, but I think there's question marks with edge rusher because I think we are in agreement Ojabo's the best edge rusher the Ravens have. They're 4 players, and he's the guy they're utilizing the least. And they have some questions at corner with Rock Ya-Sin, a nickel corner on the Raiders, replacing Marcus Peters. And with Rock Ya-Sin being carted off, now you have 2 mediocre corners next to Marlon Humphrey. And Joe Burrow is going to exploit that. Deshaun Watson probably has the personnel to exploit that if Tillman plays like he did in the preseason for the Browns. And I would think Kenny Pickett with Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Allen Robinson, Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, I would think Pickett might have the personnel to exploit that too, as crazy as it sounds. I would think all 3 quarterbacks in the AFC North would have the personnel to exploit the Ravens' issues on defense. So I think the Ravens are going to be a team that's in a lot of shootouts. And it'll come down to what Lamar does with them in those shootouts. And they'll win some games they're expected to lose. I do. I believe that. But I don't know if it'll be enough to make the playoffs. That's why I've got the Ravens at 9-8, missing the playoffs.
Yeah, the Ravens, I think, outside of pass rusher, I really think their safeties have a chance to step up.
I love the safeties and the linebackers. That's it. I love the safety because the linebacker, they got Queen, Roquan Smith, Malik Harrison, Trent Simpson. Those are the Ravens' top 4 inside linebackers. Best inside linebacker quadro, I would think, since Ray Lewis and Boulware and Adalius Thomas and Suggs were all on the Ravens at the same time. It's the best inside linebacker depth they've had since that time period, Joey. And I look at the Ravens, they have Kyle Hamilton. They got rid of Chuck Clark, but they have Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton, and they have Geno Stone. Geno Stone is a really good backup safety who stepped in when Williams was injured and when Hamilton was injured. And Brandon Stevens, the Ravens, is a backup strong. So I don't think the Ravens have much depth. Brandon Stevens was a 2020 pick. I don't remember where he went to college. SMU. He went to SMU. He was the Ravens' 3rd-round pick at safety out of SMU. But I really like the Ravens' depth. One corner I love listed on the second team is Caillou Blue Kelly out of third. That was a guy. Blue Kelly's their best corner outside of Marlon Humphrey. As good as that's going to sound, and if you don't want to throw him in the fire, put Arthur Mallett on the outside and Caillou Kelly in the nickel. Like, if you want to ease Caillou Kelly in, fine. But I think Caillou Blue Kelly impressed me more with his college tape than either DeMaurian Williams or because with Jalen Armour Davis, it was all speed with him. He did not look like a corner that had the game speed to keep up with Treylon Burks when I was watching Arkansas. Like, he got beaten man in zone coverage, and the Ravens took him in the 3rd round. So, like, honestly, because I think we both like Caillou Blue Kelly coming out of Stanford. He had an interception in the Senior Bowl, too. I think he had a pick 6 on Malik Cunningham. So, like, why isn't he Ravens corners? But again, this irritates me with the rush. I wasn't asked. This Joey. Shoe lets us record. I'm recording. Okay. Okay. Shoe did not disconnect. that today. Like a 12, but final point for the Ravens. David Ojabo might be the best rusher. I think my best corner. Both of those guys are getting under my opinion. Maybe the Ravens won in rather than the start. The Ravens played week in Cincinnati. Maybe thought that, and it's let's have the other play, learn the terminology, and then later in because the Ravens, I think they are going to have like a run there in a row. I have the Ravens winning against